Hi everybody, it's Jodi from DVC Resale Market and welcome to episode 35 of the World of DVC Show. Today we have a lot of information. We're going to discuss the history of the resale restrictions. So lots of information coming your way. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering the world of DVC, the ultimate DVC destination where magical vacations meet incredible value through exceptional service. Put in your headphones, turn the volume up, sit back, relax, and step into the world of DVC.
Just wish on a star. Enter the world of DVC.
All right.
Hello.
Happy spring break.
I know, it's spring break.
Can you believe it?
Spring is in the air.
Goodness.
Flowers are
Spring break.
blooming. It's beautiful out.
I remember when I was a young lad growing up that it seemed like spring break was everybody had the exact same spring break. Like it was 1 week out of every year. Now I think it starts
It's a madhouse.
In February and it ends in June.
So there's ski week now.
Yeah, right.
So then, did you guys?
No.
So ski week, all the private schools in Orange County have ski week, which was 2 weeks ago. And then all of the West Coast has ski week.
And then there's
And then
Jersey week in the fall. Like, who can keep up with it all?
Yeah.
I know, there's a
Yeah.
lot. Yes.
You're
There's
doing
a lot.
something fun for spring break, though.
we are. So I'm excited because we're going to Disney's Grand Floridian Resort just for 2 nights over spring break. So we'll be there
Nice.
about next Friday and Saturday. So
You're
we
like dressed for it too already. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
This is my boardwalk shirt that
Yes.
Marissa bought me last
Yes,
year
this
from
is
our
your
friends at
boardwalk
Once Upon a Wardrobe.
We just want to show your
Definitely
shoes.
does. So-
That's
And I
all.
will forever get the credit for purchasing that
It's
shirt.
been a whole year since I
If
had
I
it
buy
on.
you another gift, I'm going to buy you another one of these shirts.
polo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That
great.
one went over really well, and you wear it often.
And you might see it at the Grand Floridian next Thursday and Friday night.
Just please don't wear the shoes that you have on today. Please.
I won't.
They're
I won't.
terrible. But your
yes,
shirt
we're-
looks great.
I'm very excited. We're staying in one of the resort rooms that I absolutely love.
I love those rooms.
My son's coming home from college, and
Nice.
our break with our freshman Corey and his girlfriend's coming. So we're just going to go for 2 nights.
good.
We're not doing any parks. No parks, but we have reservations at Narcoossee's for Friday night, and then we have reservations at Ohana for the next night.
Okay, so you're going to have to come back with an update for next
full
show.
restaurant review.
Right, especially for Narcoossee's because I don't have you been to it
No.
since it's open? I have not either.
Have you?
So
No.
post
Seems like a
COVID,
big
right?
splurge moment
Me- I
for
was
you. Those
just-
are like
Yeah, those
I
are some,
literally
those
was
are
going
some
to
heavy
just
hitters
make
for
a joke
restaurants.
about it. She's sitting here thinking like, oh my, wait, you're going there
you.
for what?
You're going to and Ohana.
You're not going to Captain
It
Cook's?
took me a minute to register.
I thought you'd pack like your Oscar Mayer bologna in your cooler. And
You'll do that for lunch. You'll do that for lunch.
that's where the drinks will come from. But
I
yes,
know.
very,
That's
very
exciting.
excited about that. So that's a spring break trip. So I'll bring you a full report.
Well,
when I
speaking
come
of
back.
dining reviews, I'll just segue to that because last episode
Yeah.
we had you all let us know in the comments if you were stuck at a resort and could only dine there and nowhere else.
Right.
Where would it be? And we got some really,
We
really
were
good
floored
comments.
by the
Some
results of
very
this, by the way.
passionate,
Yes.
passionate response.
So let me bring up the results because some of these were very interesting. And the top one that we thought should have won.
Call
didn't
out in your
win.
car or in your office or at your kitchen table if you're having dinner watching us what resort you think won. Like call it out now. Ready? Okay,
Hold
because
that
we
thought. All right.
Right,
So
we
we're gonna
know what
start-
ours was.
We'll
Yeah.
start from the bottom to the top and let you know.
Yeah.
Somebody put Grand Cal.
Oh, that's a good.
That was a good one.
Yep.
Someone put Saratoga Springs. The one that I love, they put Alani, and they were like, you didn't mention if it was just Disney World. And they said, I'm going to put Alani because I would love to see the three of you have to go to Hawaii and do a dining review. So I love you for putting that comment.
Yes, favorite
The rest
audience
of you
member.
all, you
I'm bringing
failed.
the bologna to Alani.
That's fine.
Because if everybody could have got together and put Alani, we could be going to
We'd be in
Hawaii.
Alani right now doing this episode.
Man,
We have the best
thank you
audience
for
in
that.
the world.
We really do.
We got one Old Key West,
Okay.
2 Bay Lake Tower. That was lower than I thought.
Lower than I thought too. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it's Bay Lake Tower
but there's-
food. I mean,
No,
it's
no,
not-
No, I mean
No, no, no.
contemporary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
California Grill.
Steakhouse
Okay.
71.
Steakhouse 71.
All right, fine.
I mean,
Chef Mickey's?
Mickey's.
California Grill.
California Girl. Wilderness Lodge got 3.
Yeah.
It's also lower than I thought. Riviera got 9. So they were in contention. Good.
Okay, there's some good places.
Polynesian got 14.
But that's
That's
not
what
the number one.
That's not the number one.
Are you a Shopper's
Tied
Meal?
for first place?
Unbelievable.
Are you ready?
Unbelievable.
Tied for first place.
Yes.
Animal Kingdom and Grand Floridian. Both had 24 comments.
Complete opposites.
Totally different worlds.
Complete opposites.
But both great.
Yeah.
I'd have to say, very good job. Those
Lots
are great
of great
choices.
options.
So we promised you we would dine at one of them. So since it's clearly the month of dining, and you're already going to the Grand Floridian, so where do you guys want to go? Animal Kingdom, Grand Floridian?
Well, I think I vote for Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
Animal Kingdom.
Me too.
Yeah.
I vote
Animal
for
Kingdom.
Yeah.
And I would like to try, and I don't know if it can, or I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys even care, but I haven't been to Jico in like forever.
Love Chico.
And I think they had like the best, and correct me if I'm wrong, fabulously smart audience, like a barbecue beef filet or something that at least they had
The
in like
ribs.
2010 or
They
something.
were famous for their ribs and their mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese,
Yes,
too,
and
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that's still the case post-COVID. It could be. The last time I was there was March. I want to say it was probably this week, the first week of March, going into 2020.
Before the shutdown.
Right before the shutdown. And it was our Club 33, like, celebratory great year dinner. And so we were in the wine room, and it was so special. And the food is so good there. So can't go
All
wrong
right.
with Chico. So
Let's do
Chico
it.
it
I
is.
think we
Okay.
should take one for the team
Okay.
and do a dining review.
If we can't go to Alani,
We'll go to Animal Kingdom Lodge. So thank you guys for tuning in
Yeah.
for
Yes.
that. We are picking one winner for that. And then for this week, we're going to stick with the same theme. Since we're heading up onto spring break, summer vacation.
Right.
This one is let us know your favorite pool to lounge at. So kind of same thing. If you were stuck, and I know a lot of people will say like Stormalong Bay Beach Club, but if you were stuck at a DVC
Yeah, I
resort,
wouldn't pick
and
one.
I'm not just saying one pool, I'm saying the resort for the entire like recreational pool type of vibe, right? Whether it's the bar or the lounge areas or multiple pools.
Yes, the activities or the view or the
Yes.
slides or whatever
What
it is.
resort
Yeah.
would it be? And we will pick one winner, and you will win a $100 gift card to use at the pool bar, and perhaps we'll go to that pool and have a drink
Well,
at
and
that
then
pool
we'll
bar.
go to the pool, and we'll also disclose our pool locations
Okay.
too, because where you just said it wouldn't be Stormalong Bay. I'm curious where you were, but don't say it.
Ooh.
Don't
do you want
influence
me
it.
to-
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, we'll say
like
it next
save
time.
for next time.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
we'll say it
Here's
next
your
time.
cliffhanger.
because I'll be there
So
next
then
Friday
put
and
that
Saturday.
in the comments. Email us. Stop it at info.
Were you mic'd when you just said that? You are.
I'll wait for you guys.
I'm sorry, Marissa. We're sorry. Rein it in. We haven't seen each other for a little while.
Email us info at worldoddvc.com, and of course leave your comment, give us a thumbs up. If you're on Apple Podcasts, give us some love there. We could use some reviews
Yes,
on Apple
yes.
Podcasts. But thank you again. It was really, really fun to read through all of your comments this last month.
It really was. It was nice to have Bert on the show too.
Yes.
Last time we've got Jodi this week or this month. It's going to be a great show.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't want to win $100 to spend at your
Oh my
next
gosh.
day hanging out by the pool at
Absolutely.
Disney?
Yeah. Go to
can't
the
beat
pool
it.
bar.
Can't beat it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got some fun stuff coming up. I've got some great trips coming up. You went to Epcot.
I went to
said?
Epcot. We did a little mini Disney recruiter reunion. So I used to recruit for the Disney internships and programs team a long time ago. And one of my best girlfriends from Texas came in for the week. And so we all met up there for like a little, what better place to go than Epcot, right? Dine and drink around the world.
Kerri, do we need to do updates with Kerri? Because every month she's like,
Every month
so
about
I met so-and-so at Epcot, and we had champagne at Epcot, and I saw the ball at Epcot.
Every month,
Every
you're not
month.
wrong.
Every day, her like Facebook feed
Kerri
is her
lives
holding a
on
glass of
Epcot.
champagne. It is.
With the Epcot ball, like in the different lights.
Bless my heart. If I ever moved, I will miss all of you, but I will miss Epcot, the sparkly ball, and champagne the
Oh,
most. I
man.
mean, I really am always at Epcot. Well, first of all, it's easy to get to.
Yes.
It's easy to park. You can just run
that's
right
true.
in. They do have the champagne all around and the Prosecco and everything. The ball's so sparkly. There's like, what's not to love? But it was the first time I had seen in person the Walt statue, the bronze statue in front of where the fountain stage, rest in peace, fountain stage. But I will say, I think what they did in front of Spaceship Earth is phenomenal. It's beautiful.
I haven't seen it
It's
yet. I need
so
to go.
pretty. It's
Yeah.
the garden. It's beautiful. I want to go back during the day to really take in all of the detail of it and the little pathways and whatnot. What are you laughing at?
Prosecco tastes different during the day.
It does. It tastes just as good during
So
the
let
day.
us know next month, Kerri.
What it looks like if I get lost in there. It's so beautiful though. So yeah, we stopped. I had to stop there, of course, and see the statue. I have to just give one thing is I always say like whoever designed lighting doesn't think about like the lighting of a picture, so they uplit Walt. And Marissa, do you ever want
Your
to be
face all shadowed?
Yeah, do you ever want to be uplit, like from like you don't ever hold the flashlight here. You want the flashlight like up here, right? Because you want it to cascade. Well, anyway, we sat down for the picture and we're all like, this looks like Halloween. Like Walt looks great as a bronze statue, but we all look like we've got like these dark circles and everything. So don't get your picture at night. Do it during the day.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
Are you going to post that picture in the show?
Yeah.
I'll post the picture of Walt. How about that? We'll leave it at
Let's
Walt
have
Disney.
Kerri in our shadows.
Nobody wants to see that.
No, it's beautiful though. It's definitely not to miss. And the Festival of the Arts was wrapping up, so we went to see the Broadway show and just kind of taken all of the festival. There's always a festival at Epcot. Now I guess it's Flower and Garden has sprung up all of a sudden. So now that is happening. And so yeah, I guess I am always at Epcot. Stay tuned next month to see where at Epcot I'll be. And what I can
Leave
report
us a note in the comments of where we'll find Kerri.
I love Epcot.
I had the chance to. I don't know how many of you out there are have fallen to the pickleball craze.
Pickleball.
But I have fallen hard.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun. I love it. And so Disney, as you know, we actually have a blog about this over at DVC Fan as well as DVC Rental Store about the different resorts now that you have pickleball that you can play on. So they painted the pickleball lines at all of the tennis courts so you can play. And then they actually changed over at Boardwalk with like proper pickleball nets and all of that. So we actually went and tried out. They do free pickleball clinics, whereas like most of the activities like tennis and stuff, you have to pay. Well, they have these certified pickleball coaches that come out, they're third party, and they do clinics to teach you
Great
like
idea.
how to play pickleball. But if you're more advanced, and they teach you like different shots to look for, how to like slice the ball, how to hit it up. So it was really fun.
Derek and I have no idea what you're talking about, by the way, do we?
No, I played once.
Oh, did
He
you?
does,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, never mind. Then I have no
Kerri,
idea.
Borrowed her stuff.
We should go. We should have pickleball rackets, World of DVC.
Well, here's the thing. So I went with the Lost Bros. I went with Cody and Lex. And so our dream is to have like a pickleball like event.
Yes.
Like a DVC pickleball event, maybe time it with like one of like the events going on at Epcot.
Yeah.
So stay tuned if you want to join.
good. Kerri will be
Let
there.
us
I'll
know.
be there.
Kerri's going to learn.
I'll be on the sidelines with my champagne.
With her at Epcot. She'll walk over to the boardwalk.
I don't like this sport.
But they do it on Tuesday mornings at Bay Lake Tower, and then they do it on Fridays at the boardwalk. It's a husband and wife couple that come out and do it.
So fun.
We had
cool.
the best time. And so if you're into pickleball, love it. And also when you walk up, like they did such a good job. They have the balls ready for you. They have paddles ready for you, so you don't have to bring any of your own stuff. They have water bottles and towels.
Nice.
How do you
so,
set
And
it up?
it's
so
free.
when
or
you're staying at the resorts, any Disney resort,
Okay,
you
just at the
just
resort.
would call into like the recreation area,
Okay.
and you just put your name on the list, and then you're signed up for the next day.
So it's on
Stop.
that sheet.
It is.
That like
The recreation
yeah, or
sheet.
you can call into like the front
Okay.
desk and put your name
so you
on
have to
the
be
list.
staying at a Disney resort.
You do.
Okay, so locals can't just pop in.
You can't
to
just
make sure
pop
that-
in. No.
Lot
So
of local
the
people,
Last
yeah.
Bros actually were doing a stay to showcase DVC Rental Store at
Wonderful.
Bay Lake Tower. So I was able to join them for that.
That's so great.
So you mooched off them.
Basically,
Yeah, that's smart.
I booked their room, man.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. You were over at Disney Springs. I met you over there with our good friend Amy.
Yes.
At the new Summer House.
Yes, we went with Amy
I've
from
not seen the
DVC
Summer
Clubhouse.
House yet.
It was great.
Summer House
it
is
was
awesome.
A great, beautiful restaurant. I
Yeah,
love it. It was great
beautiful.
to see Amy, who does so much great stuff and a great partner of ours. So that was fantastic. And then just last Friday, spur of the moment trip, my wife and I said, hey, you know what? Let's go to Disney Springs for evening time. She was able to snag a Wine Bar George reservation.
Oh, nice.
So we just sat in there. I just think it's just the best place.
It-
It's
yeah,
got the
it's
best
great.
food. Just appetizers even alone,
Yep.
and the drinks were great, and then we
Yep.
did some shopping, and then made it home by 8:30.
Nice.
So yeah, it was perfect.
I think it's so funny when we went to Summer House. I had a lot of my friends reach out to me and they say, "How was Summer House?" And everyone was like, "How was the drinks? How was the bar, the alcohol, and this?" But I had to work that afternoon, so I didn't have anything to drink but water. And I was like, well, we didn't hit really the bar, but the cookie bar was really cool. And we spent some time in the cookie bar. So now we've got to go back and really spend time, on the drink menu.
It's a
as
fun
well.
place.
It's a great
beautiful
place. It's
place.
beautiful. Yeah.
It's a beautiful
Summer
place.
House.
Well, today's show is all about the history of DVC restrictions.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much information. And because Disney has done these at different stages and times and dates, I wanted to do an episode where we really just kind of take away all like
The myths. Yeah.
and the cobwebs and really
Yep.
just break down simply
Yep.
what that is. But before we jump into that, because it is a super fascinating fascinating episode. I really quickly wanted to do Around the World of DVC and talk about some of the latest and greatest happenings.
Yeah.
Around the World of DVC.
There is a great one. I want to start.
All right.
Because I want to start with the DVC Resale Market as we finished our incredibly popular Red Hot Deal promotion where we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of listings were sold. We now have a brand new promotion that just started that is called Magic Cash. And what does that mean? Well, there's a limited number of listings that we have available. You can find them. There's probably about 30 of them, but they sell quick that when you purchase them and after your contract closes, guess what? You get sent a $500 Disney gift card.
Right.
So we all know how easy it is to spend a $500 Disney gift card. So on these listings, it is all included when you purchase it. Contract closes. Boom, you get a $500 Disney gift card.
You could spend that at the pool bar of your choice if you wanted to.
100%.
Yep.
100%. So yeah, you can go to our listings at dvcresalemarket.com and then you can filter by going to, I think it's...
I'll put the direct link in the show notes so you can
Even
go
better.
right there.
Easy peasy.
You can find it and see if there's going to be one that works for you. It is a limited time promo, so very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much with that. And then if you are looking to rent points, so if you're not a DVC member, we are in like prime time for, as we go into holidays, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
It's crazy to think about it, but you have to.
Yeah, food and wine.
Yep.
So it is the time to start booking for those. So if you are looking and planning a vacation, this is the time to do it. The other big news, Universal keeps on spitting out news. So they have DreamWorks Land coming, which is so cool. They have like a whole Shrek Land area. So that's coming. Of course, we know Epic Universe is right around the corner. If you're a DVC member and you're ready to do Universal, you can swap your points. It's an amazing way to utilize your points for a different type of vacation. And also, if you're not and you're just looking to go to Universal, our team at Be Our Guest Vacations can go ahead and book those stays for you. If you're thinking about going to Epic Universe, one thing to keep in mind is by going through a travel agent, they're usually the best at getting you the best promotion around, as well as ensuring that you snag the best rooms at the earliest time. So if you're considering going to Universal, whether that's this year or taking advantage of next year, make sure you reach out, you get on their list so you're ready to go when all of that news hits, because it is exciting.
It's very exciting. And I think we say this at every single show with Be Our Guest Vacations. It's such a huge benefit is that any new promotion that comes out for Disney, they keep track of that. So if you think, I don't want to book too early because I want to make sure I get the last or greatest or, most recent deal, they keep track of that, which is brilliant.
Yep. So. And it's free. So why not?
Service.
Don't do all that work.
No,
you don't have to. Come
That's
on.
too much work, too much energy.
But as we go into, again, with resale market, right? With the promotion right now, with the $500 gift card, a lot of people are doing the research now. And we've seen that, especially since COVID, of people going in and saying, what's the difference? Yeah. And that's the really cool thing about our company is we've been able to just detail all of that, have all the facts out there. So this episode is about the facts and the breakdown, and who better to have on it than Jodi Gross. She was our original agent here at DVC Resale Market, and of course a long history at Disney Vacation Club directly from Disney. So she's going to help us walk us through that history. So welcome, Jodi.
And look who's here.
Jodi!
Yes. Hi, Jodi.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you here because we figured this is going to be a fun discussion. Well, I don't know if I use the word fun, but it's a really interesting
Yes, it's
discussion.
Super interesting.
Because we get asked all the time at the DVC Resale Market, and Jodi, who's been here longer than any other agent, has no doubt been asked this more than anybody else. So what's the difference? What's the deal with these restrictions? I hear that there's restrictions when I purchase a resale contract. So we figured this would be a perfect show to have on to kind of come and talk about life with Disney Vacation Club kind of before any restrictions, and then life during the restrictions, and now life after
where we are currently
the restrictions. And I'm trying to see how many more times I can say the word restrictions. And I think
it's a big it's a hot topic.
Yes.
Because we do get asked that every single day.
Yes.
What's the difference? Why would I buy DVC Resale Market versus Disney Direct? What are the differences? And so Jodi, take us away. No, I'm kidding.
But also I think what some people who are just like new to Disney Vacation Club just kind of want to know, like, what's the list? But there is a history behind it. So today we're really going to go into that history of, like, what was the first wave of restrictions? And then just those next steps from there. Because Disney didn't start with all the restrictions at one time. It's been kind of tiered throughout the years.
I bet they wish they could have. and probably the biggest question we're always asked, too, is always, so I've heard that they can take away any, my use to be able to use it at, say, the 14 original resorts. Is that true? Because I was told this, or I was told if I purchased a resale contract that you could only use it exactly where you buy. Is that true? Is that not true? So I think it's important for us to clean up those myths first and foremost.
Yeah,
so.
like really
like
kind of
Mythbusters, right? Like, like fact versus myth. Yeah. It's true.
So we were kind of talking about this ahead of time, but Jodi, you and Derek both were at Disney Vacation Club directly with Disney before there were any restrictions. Right. So
it was like the Wild West.
I know.
yeah, it was.
Did you have phones back then?
We did have headsets that we walked around with.
You had 2 cans and a string, and you just made it work somehow. Yeah, but so back before, go ahead, Marissa. Sorry, we're our antics.
I'll just stay here. No, but my question is, with that, obviously we talked about online, the internet, it wasn't as like, you couldn't just Google things as much as you can today. There wasn't as much of a presence on resale. Right. But with you guys working direct, did that conversation ever come up? Because when you guys were there, 2008, 2009, people could buy resale and they had 0 restrictions. So that would be hard to combat. So 1, did it ever come up? And 2, if it did, how would you combat that?
Well, I would start with, yes, it would come up, but not nearly as much as it does now. To your point, I mean, it's not like we're talking about the Stone Age, like there wasn't internet, but people didn't have their phones with apps and all of that stuff, on there, and luckily, and it, to your point, it was, when it did get brought up, it was a difficult thing to overcome. And one thing I will say, and I don't know if this was the same for you, is I really didn't know anything about resale. Funny enough, Disney, like the management, never told us about resale or even educated us on, okay, this is really what it is.
So true.
And so sometimes we'd have like staff meetings, and we really truly thought, or I did, that like it was bad if you bought resale. Like you're not getting title. It is the Wild West. Really? And we have one agent who used to refer to it as buying it on the black market. Oh gosh. Yeah. So anyway, so I really thought it was like bad, and there was like no guarantees, and so I think some of us may have even perpetuated some of those fears, not knowing, like we weren't deliberately being deceitful.
Don't know what you don't know.
But so I thought, looking back on it now, I think it's really weird that Disney didn't kind of guide the guides as to what the difference is.
And to your point as well, during that time, there weren't a lot of those big brokers like DVC Resale Market, right? Where you could have like a trusted, like former cast members, trusted brokerage, BBB presence, all of that. There really wasn't that. So to your point, there was a little bit of that Wild West, because, I mean, was it Craigslist, eBay, and especially with those type of transfers online, I mean, we're talking like Western Union days. So like, who knows like what funds are actually coming in. So it does make sense that there was that fear around it, because there really wasn't an established like company that was trusted.
I have the song Into the Unknown from Frozen 2 in my head, right? Like you don't know what it is. Yeah, you don't know what it is.
Well, I think, I was just going to say your point exactly, and Jodi knows because she was the first agent hired here, is those exact same reasons are the reasons that Nick started this company.
Right.
It's because people would sit down with him and say, when he was a guide, and say, so what happens when I sell it? And you'd be left with the options of, I don't know, you can call this place. I think they sell a bunch of other timeshares. So he literally thought, my God, I want to put people's mind at ease and say, listen, there's a company that it's all former Disney people. It's all former Disney Vacation Club people. Put your mind at ease, because we got asked that a lot.
There was a space there that he filled. Yeah.
And just to interject, the day I knew I had to leave Disney and go work with Nick and resale, is I had this nice older lady who would come in. She lives in Florida, and like she was a farmer. Like they weren't wealthy or anything. She'd come in her flannel shirt and jeans, and she had bought from me. And then she came in and said, Jodi, I heard about resale. I mean, I like you, and I bought my first one with you, but I can get, it was Saratoga, I'll never forget. I can get it for like $50 a point or whatever it was at the time. And she looked at me and said, is there any reason why I should buy from you? Or, not buy from that? And I just looked at her. I sat in the chair. I was in the living room, in the parlor, and I go, no, you should buy it. Because I thought, how am I going to tell this nice older lady who's saving up and really just wants the best deal. When there were no restrictions, there was legitimately no reason for her not to buy that resale contract. And I'm like, I think the ship of selling direct is sailed.
Well, it's just funny that you say that because we crossed paths very briefly. You were leaving DVC about the same time that I was coming on. And we had like one meeting together. We used to do these morning huddles. And so all the sales agents would come in and just kind of talk about like different things that we were seeing or like what guests were looking for. And I remember you bringing up, because they were doing some training about like the differences of Hilton and Marriott. And you had made a comment to say, like, I don't know why we're doing this training on Hilton and Marriott when resale is our biggest competitor.
I don't remember saying that, but that was pretty smart. Thank you for remembering.
And I remember...
Jodi, the president would like to see you, please, in the office.
And I was like, she's got a good point. Like, nobody ever brings up Marriott. No one comes to a Disney Vacation Club presentation
No, you're right.
and
You're
brings
right.
up, well, I was thinking about Marriott Vacation Club. No. People say, well, I was thinking about the resale market. And we, to your point of kind of before, we really weren't trained on the tools of like how to combat resale, because it was just more of like, resale's out here.
Yeah, don't talk
Yeah,
about
like
it.
la la
Learn
la la
anything
la.
about it. Yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
for those of you guys listening or watching from home, the first wave of Disney Vacation Club restrictions happened in March of 2011. Prior to that, if you had purchased a Disney Vacation Club contract, you could have bought it direct or resale. It was exactly the same. So you're grandfathered in. So any of the changes that we've seen through the history of Disney Vacation Club on the resale market, if you have bought resale prior to those changes, you're forever grandfathered in without those restrictions. So that's pretty interesting to see as we go through these different stages.
So your farmer friend could use her $50 points that she got at Saratoga to stay at Riviera, to stay at the
Wilderness
Disney
Cabin.
Wilderness
Yeah.
Cabin.
Disneyland
Yes.
Tower.
So March 2011, let's go back because you guys were both there during that time.
Yeah.
Do you remember hearing about the restriction? Was it something that you would then like bring up in any way?
I mean, I remember hearing about it. It didn't come up a lot. Like Jodi said, it really wasn't that time where people were, that actively searching for Disney Vacation Club or anything like that. So that's why it was so much easier, basically, to sell direct back in those days.
Yeah.
But you could. So like Jodi said, the interesting thing was, all you had, because we were never really trained on, here's the differences. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the meeting. Now, difference number one, which you want to stress to that guest, if they bring up the resale, is XX or XX. So really, the only tools that we had were the ones that we were able to come up with ourselves, right? To try to say, well, I read that, Disney could buy the contract back. So you tell the guest and say, yeah, just be prepared because you might wait 60, 70 days and Disney could buy that contract back. You want to make sure it's the same use year. What if the points are already used? So if you buy a contract that's stripped and blah, blah, blah. So that guest head would kind of be like, oh yeah, no. I'm just going to buy with you because it's much easier that way. So Disney always had to have the tools. And that's why I can't remember what year it started where that minimum started.
So the first wave of restrictions, March 2011, was the collection restrictions.
Okay.
So with Disney Vacation Club, you have the chance to use your points at kind of the main core, right? So the main place that you would use your points are the Disney Vacation Club resorts. So DVC. Then the next place you could use your points is the Disney Collection. So the Disney Collection makes up any type of Disney stay that's not DVC. So Disney Hotels, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, those fall into the Disney bucket. Then you have the Concierge Collection or Hotel Collection, which a lot of people confuse with like Concierge at Disney, which has nothing to do with it.
No.
These make up about like 10 to 15 non-Disney hotel stays. So, and they're kind of more like big city gear. So like Chicago, New York. They change all the time. So like even what I'm saying right now could be different than because that one constantly changes. And quite honestly, those two like sections of points, the Disney Collection and the Hotel Collection, use such a massive amount of points that it really did allow you to kind of sell against resale. And then the final collection is the World Collection. So that's changed over the years. It's gone from Interval International to RCI, then back to Interval International, which is where we currently are at. So as a resale guest, you can still use your points at Disney Vacation Club, that core collection, or through the World Collection. Where you're restricted is Disney Collection and Hotel. But again, as a guide, I came on in 2014, so I was still part of that first wave of restrictions. It was very easy to sell against it because you could say, well, if you ever, wanted to do a cruise. Now, on the resale side, we know that's very different. But you would say, if you ever wanted to do a cruise, Adventures by Disney, if you ever wanted to go to Disneyland Paris, if you ever wanted to go for a night in Chicago,
If you have a
all
spare
of that
3,000 points.
Exactly.
Right,
Just hanging around.
We didn't
Sure.
talk about that
Yes.
then. And quite frankly, we didn't realize what a significant amount of points that it would end up using. It was just more of that added benefit.
Right.
Especially for cruises too. So imagine being on a cruise ship and you had this and someone says, well, yeah, but what if I think there's a resale market and you're there, the family's having the time of their life. They really don't know how many points it uses. And you say, yeah, but if you buy that resale contract, you could never, ever use your points to come back on this ship again. And the family goes, oh my God, no, I can't do that, because it's all about what they have. And I don't blame them. Their number one tool is not even, okay, you have to buy so many points. It's FOMO. It's the fear of
just gonna
missing
say that,
out.
yeah.
That's the number one tool.
Still gets people.
It still gets people. It still does.
So that was the first wave. The second wave came in April 2016. So that was like the perks restriction. So that was any of the member benefits you couldn't get unless you were buying directly from Disney. At the time, when this wave came out, all you had to do was own a 25-point contract, and then you could get all of the perks and benefits.
Disney Direct.
Yes. Yeah. So those your resale points. So for example, if you had 200 points resale and you had a 25-point direct contract, you couldn't use 225 points on a cruise.
Right.
Those 200 points were still restricted from the collections. But in terms of getting the member benefits, which what we're talking about is really like that member card.
Right.
And that again has changed through the years because it's gone from hard copy to digital. But whatever you need to show for the discounts. So we're talking 10% at some dining locations, 20% on shopping, some different member benefits. So like Moonlight Magic or Top of the World Lounge. That wasn't there at the time, but those are any of the perks that we're talking about.
Right.
Do you all remember back when one of the member benefits was they used to do like member parties, and I think one time it was like a New Year's Eve or a Christmas party at, I want to say it was at the Contemporary.
Yes.
I do. They were charging people like $200 a person. I'm like, well, what a great benefit I have. I bought direct so that I could spend $800 for my family to come attend this nice little buffet dinner. So, right? Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing with that, and that's changed to your point throughout the years, that's gone from a 25-point minimum, it went to a 50-point minimum, 75-point, 100-point, 150 point. And so once you get to that, at 25 points, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like you just buy directly from Disney, get your 25 points. Yeah. And I would ask the audience too, for those of you watching, if you are a member, do you have resale and direct, and how many points do you have? Because I know a lot of resale members who took advantage of this, who were super savvy and said, 25 points, it's worth it. But where the math starts to really kind of question if that makes sense is when you get up to that 150-point range. Right. So I'll put in our show notes the link to our blog on this, but we have a really great blog that kind of showcases, hey, if I own 200 points at Saratoga direct from Disney versus 200 resale, what's the difference? And you can take the savings of an annual pass if you can get an annual pass. And also the other big thing that I don't think Disney does a really great job of always disclosing, but perks can go away, and they do at any time, right? And so
of course they don't do a really good job of disclosing.
There's limitations,
there's restrictions on the
contract.
The last
sign.
And we've seen that. I mean, we could probably all go around and talk about the different things that were there that aren't. I mean, valet parking was free for members. But I think for us, the biggest impact of that was really during COVID, because annual pass options were just taken away, right? Moonlight Magic taken away. And so it's hard to say, hey, is it worth spending 30 to 60% more on something in hopes that I can get to one of these free events or save on an annual pass that may not be an option 5 years from now. Right. So when it comes to, I think the first wave of restrictions, that one's very easy when you look at the two, like the hotel collection, because now we have things like swaps, right? Where you can take your points, instead of using them for a cruise, swap them through our program and DVC Rental Store and save. when you look at perks, it really comes down to what perks are a priority. And Jodi, you had mentioned something earlier. There are people who just say, I just want to officially have that card to show and kind of that pride behind it. But for the most part, when people start to math out the different options, it's really hard to say those perks add any value.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the perks you could get anyway if you're an annual pass holder, as you guys know, or the Disney Visa card. And, you know, other than the Moonlight Magic, which... how hard is it to get in, right? I mean,
every day we talk to guests and say, I think I want to buy direct because, well, why? Well, because I think I want to go to one of those Moonlight Magic things. And it's like, okay, you need every planet to align. You need 6 laptops to get up in the morning. You need to be traveling then. You already be booked traveling during then.
Staying there, right?
So many people, when they just take the time and do the research and realize and say, you know, oh my God, I saved 25 grand. I'm like, isn't that way better than 10% off of Wetzel's Pretzel? Like, it's way better. You know, and buy the resort you need is the most important thing that we tell people, not the $220 plus resort that Disney wants you to buy, because that's the most important thing. And that's why research is so key. We don't blame our friends. We have a ton of friends there that, you know, still sell it. That's what you have to do. I mean, that's what you have to say. Well, if you buy resale, you know, you're not, give them that feeling like you're not a real vacation club member, you know, which we get asked all the time. And we always have to put everybody's mind to ease and be like, listen, you're using the same website. You're not going to use like some bootleg website that's off in the back door.
The black market website.
Your name's not on some list where these points are good and these points are bad. It's like, no, it's all the same.
And I've mentioned this before, but I think it's worth noting that like a lot of that kind of fear of like, if I buy resale, are they going to treat me different at check-in? And absolutely not. I can't tell you the amount of times I've been upgraded or had sweet things left in my room. I'm a resale member. No one looks at me different.
They don't even know when you're checking
They have
out.
no idea.
Member
No
services
idea.
knows when you're booking.
Yeah.
But the folks at the checkout and
But even member services, if I've ever had to call, which I think has probably been once or twice, it's not a lot because you can just do it online. But there's still no difference in service, you know, you still get that legendary Disney service. Nobody's going, oh, hold on just a second. I'm sorry, there's a black mark next to your name. I have to transfer you. That didn't happen. Exactly. The alarms go off because you're resale market. No, you're treated the same.
So I remember like that being, as we kind of sold in to 2016 and onward, that had a little bit more like, I think that's more impactful to the guest. And I think Disney realized that too. And I remember you saying, Ken Potrock came in, and I remember that day very well of him saying, hey, we have something that's going to really just stop people from buying resale. And for us, it was exciting because the first wave of restrictions, I think, really didn't impact people's decision to buy resale or direct. And at the time, when you think about like 2011 versus 2016, people were doing a lot more research. They were a lot more savvy. Nick's company, DVC Resale Market, had started 2 years earlier.
And social media had really taken off by that point, too, because it was 2011. It was still kind of in the newer few years phases of Facebook and sharing conversations and whatnot. So by 2016, it's definitely now taken on this whole community of people, like you said, doing research and finding out, what did you do? What did you do? What am I going to do? And whatnot.
And Jodi, you were working at the resale market in 2016.
Yes.
So for you, with that wave of restrictions, was that something where like there was a lot of conversations about that?
There was. It wasn't as, I know we're going to get to that, but it wasn't as much as the last one in 2019, which we all were just talking about being crazy. But it did, you know, we did probably have quite a bit of a surge in people wanting to buy and get in right before. You know, it definitely teetered those people that were on the fence from waiting any longer. But it wasn't, I don't remember it being as impactful as maybe initially, because there was probably a lot of misinformation, or, you know, is this a rumor? Is this true? Can we really use this or not?
What? Misinformation being floated around out there?
Like, where? You don't have home resort priority anymore. You can only book a month out, you know, like whatever. We've heard it all. That would be a funny show, like the crazy rumors we've heard. But, we had a surge. It was busy, but it wasn't crazy. And I think when the dust settled, I mean, certainly as a guide working at Disney, I'd be very happy for that. Just like we kind of were, even with the cruise ones, it gave you something to talk about. But on our end, we knew once we started talking to people and explained, you know, you're not going to pay this much more for to get 10% off a t-shirt or something,
Right.
which
Yeah.
you could
Right.
get any, like, it didn't make any sense. And as long as someone would call or want to talk to us about it, we could explain that.
Right.
I don't know how many people didn't take the time to research and went and bought direct just because. And there's still
Did
probably
you
some
find
people.
during that time, since it was such a low entry to get those discounted or to get the perks in terms of how many points you had to buy, did you have a lot of guests who were buying resale and then also buying 25 points?
Oh yeah, and that's
yeah.
that's something we would tell people
Yeah.
to do. I mean, we'd say buy if you want.
Here's my
250
friend. Call him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was actually funny. Like, I remember some of us would talk about it. Like, when are they gonna like close this loophole?
Yeah.
Because it was crazy that it took them that long to close the
Yeah.
loophole. And I remember when I was a guide working direct. You guys might have done this too. But remember when folks couldn't get financed sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
Unless,
Sure.
but if you were already a member, you
Yeah,
had guaranteed
you could get
financing.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
So that we'd go and send them to buy 25 points resale. Now they're a member, and now they can get finance. You know, so there's all these workarounds that with this 25 point thing
Yep.
that benefited both sides. But I don't remember the date where they changed it from 25 to 50. But
I don't
But
know, but
it-
I'd love to be in that meeting.
Yeah.
We got to fix this problem.
yeah, it's been
Let's make it 50. Okay, great.
yeah.
What?
Yeah. Now 150 is a different story, but
100%.
25 was like such a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I came onto the resale market in mid 2017, and at that point, it was a 75 point buy-in. And so I think it for somewhere between 2016 to 2017, they'd gone up from 50, then to 75, and then the big kind of change, which we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
that big change of restrictions came January 2019, and with that, they also added the 100 point minimum at that time.
And that was back in 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even 100, you're talking a whole different ball game.
Oh, yeah.
I
Because
mean,
to-
it's very different than 25.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're purchasing direct from Disney. So those points at that time in 2019, I mean, how much were they? Like at least what, like 150, 160 a point? So, I mean, you're still talking a good chunk of change. But
Yep.
like Jodi said, the main thing is that's why we just always want people, if you have any questions or anything, call us.
Yeah.
Reach out to us because we don't have any gray area here. You know, so when people ask, can I do this? We either say yes or we say, no, you can't.
Right.
All
There-
the info is in writing on our website.
Yeah,
They're not
it's
going to
pretty
tell you
black
anything,
and white, right.
You know, as opposed to, well, my guide told me. You know, I'm like, tell you what, don't take my word for it. Call member services or call a manager over at Disney and ask them if this is correct, or ask that guide to send that to you in an email. I promise you, it's not true. I mean, I hate to say it that way, and it might not always be that the guides are deliberately
No.
giving false information or wrong information, but I think sometimes they just don't know because, like we were saying, they're not educated. I had one of my friends that works there. This is before it was restricted, but kept telling people they couldn't go to the Top of the World Lounge, you know, like 5-6 years ago. And I'm like, they absolutely can go to Top of the World Lounge. She's like, no, they can't. I go, yes, they can. Well, now you can't, you know, unless you buy direct. But going back,
She got the final say in that one.
yeah. So turns out she's right now. But
They're not friends
moment she
anymore, but
wasn't.
still.
she was
Right,
not.
right,
but
right,
she
right.
really believed it. She didn't know, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of like what we've created with the DVC resale market and DVC rental store. There's just so much information out there, and it's all the facts. That's where like DVC Fan, they're the first ones breaking news on anything Disney Vacation Club.
Yeah.
If you're looking for breaking news or want to know about all the latest insights within our company, you're going to find it. And that's really the beauty of what we've created. To your point, there's no gray area. It's we're going to put it out there. And I think that creates an environment for our guests to be much more educated consumers. And that's super important when you're buying something like this, right? It is a luxury purchase. It's something you're going to own either for many, many years, or you're going to have some sort of like team that can help you resell it in the future. And so with that, you want to make that best decision. And that's really our main goal here, is to educate you and provide you with all those tools. That's why we wanted to do this episode and just really break down what are the different restrictions? When did they start? So if you are researching this, you have a tool to have all that information. And then we talk about, as we go into really what we've seen is the final wave of restrictions for now. And this is the big one that I think the way Disney wrote a lot of this, they left it very ambiguous. And so there's a lot of ways that you can hear phrasing on things, to your point of like, we could have a whole show on miscommunications.
Right.
And I think because of the way things were phrased or kind of left open-ended. So I think this is going to be a big one to kind of break into the details. But we were talking a little bit before the show about us hearing about the announcement of this. And so this has never happened in the history of Disney Vacation Club. But somehow we found out about it before we knew this restriction was coming. I'm not sure how, but we got a tip, or Disney disclosed it somewhere, but it was, I think it was written out somewhere, but it was like in a new deed or something where we found it was black and white was going to happen.
Yeah.
Not only was it going to happen, but then Disney gave a 2-week lead time. Normally when Disney makes a restriction, it's overnight so that you don't have time to think about it, that it's just rip the Band-Aid off. This one had a 2-week lead time. And so all of us at the time were working resale. And it was a madhouse. So we found out about it on, I don't remember what day, but the announcement released in the afternoon. We were okay to announce it on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Previous to that, Derek and I filmed a podcast to announce it. And we did it with our friends at the Welcome Home podcast. I'll put that link in the show notes so you can go and listen to it, because it was a very fun episode where we were like, breaking news, which we normally didn't have because Disney didn't kind of leave out these little things. But that 2019 restriction was restricting the DVC resorts. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So you want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, this is one where they announced, and we had meetings, and we confirmed all the details. Like we said, we had a little bit of a lead time, which is unheard of, but it was the big one, which is, when you purchase a resale contract starting at XXX date, you can only use those points at the 14 original Disney Vacation Club resorts. You cannot use them for the Riviera, which was their brand new one, or anything that's not open yet, per se. So that's where the ambiguity kind of
Right, but
flies
then
in.
just to add to that, it is very ambiguous, because I still think it is. They added since then Grand Floridian and Poly,
right,
and those are not restricted,
right.
So they could have restricted those towers, and they didn't.
They kept them within that original HOA.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the other part that was that they left very ambiguous, and if you read a resale contract, a lot of times, because we take the verbiage directly from what Disney gives us, and we'll have guests read it and go, wait a second, because the way Disney wrote it was that if you buy, for example, at Riviera, but they left out, like, for example, Riviera. If you buy Riviera, you could, via resale, you could only use your points at your home resort. So there is misinformation out there where people will hear direct from Disney or hear online or on Facebook that if I buy resale, I'm stuck at my home resort. This is not the
true.
case. So it's only if you buy within the original 14 resorts, your points are interchangeable within the 14. Just nothing new. Unless they go back and they made Polynesian and Grand Floridian, right? Where they put them back in the original 14 HOA. If you buy any of the new resorts, so currently Riviera, Fort Wilderness Cabins, or Disneyland Hotel, if you buy those on the resale market, you can only use your points at one of those locations. So if you bought Disneyland Hotel, you can only use your points at Disneyland Hotel, nowhere else. If you buy direct from Disney at one of those three and have to resell it, then your buyer is restricted from only being able to. So it does diminish that direct value on those three, Riviera, Disneyland Hotel, and Fort Wilderness, because any of those buyers paying that premium direct from Disney are now reselling a much more restricted contract. Versus if you would have bought Grand Floridian or Polynesian, you can resell those and they fall within that original 14. So it does get a little bit hairy in terms of how it's explained.
And if you bought it in July,
don't confuse it.
and you're wearing plaid or
stripes,
it's crazy. And that's the thing that they really didn't discuss, where maybe not as communicative. Is that a word?
That's a word.
As it can be for all those folks that were buying the Riviera. So where they were buying them directly.
It wasn't disclosed that if you ever had to it was disclosed, but it wasn't. There wasn't a light shown on it.
There wasn't. The ramifications weren't pointed out. That
Legally,
all these
it
other
was
ones,
disclosed. Yes.
all these other ones have held their value, which is what makes Disney what it is. It's great. Like, what other timeshare on the planet can you resell and make money off of?
Right.
Disney's the only one I know of. And that's definitely not the case with Riviera and Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah. And so, I mean, to your point, the beauty of it is those are still reselling, and they're still reselling at very high prices when you look at just timeshare and resale value overall.
Sure.
They're just not reselling to the point of like what we see, for example, with a Bay Lake Tower, where people originally bought a Bay Lake Tower at $100 a point and they're able to resell at $140 a point.
Yeah.
And they're making some nice chump change to go add to that. You may not see that as much with these newer resorts. What we do see on the flip side, because for a while there, when on the resale market, we said, who's going to buy these, right? Who's going to buy a Riviera? They can only use your points at Riviera. And what we see a lot of times with that is it's either families that just love the Riviera, and for good reason. It's a beautiful resort. Or where I see the most is DVC members.
Oh, yeah.
They already have all their points, and then they're like, you know what? We're always going to stay at Riviera during September, so we want our 100 points at Riviera. And for resale, like for members who already own, that's a no-brainer because you're getting such good deal on points and staying at such a beautiful resort. So the value's pretty significant.
I see that more than the first example that you gave of that. The Riviera contract, 75 points, 100, 150, because we always go to Epcot for Christmas, candlelight, food and wine, whatever it is, and we want that time frame with the Skyliner right there. So I see that a lot now.
And we'll see that as Disneyland Tower comes on.
Yes,
and we'll see it with cabins too. That the nice thing with these 3 resorts and the restrictions that have to do with them is they're very unique resorts. You're not going to get another Skyliner resort like Riviera.
No.
You're not going to find
a cabin in the woods at Fort Wilderness. Like,
and then Disneyland, Disneyland, most of the time if you're staying at Disneyland, you know where you're staying, and you're fine with just being stuck at Disneyland Tower.
Right.
I don't think the tower at Disneyland the restriction is very significant at all because there's only 2 resorts there. If you're paying a premium, if you're paying that much money, it's because you want to stay there. You're not buying that to go stay at Saratoga Springs.
Right.
So I think the Disneyland Tower doesn't matter, and really the cabins as well. That's a very specific, unique thing. I mean, Riviera probably, on the tier is probably the lower of the significant, is more significant because you're at Walt Disney World and you might want to stay at other resorts. But I don't know. Yeah, I just think it's...
no, it's a good point though. Yeah.
And you're right. Many of the Rivieras that we're selling are members adding on.
Yeah.
Because they do already have a
specific time frame that they want.
And that's what I would say now. Like if you're watching or listening in and you're saying, hey, I'm kind of on the border of figuring out if I want to buy direct or resale. Hopefully this gave you some education on what those restrictions are. But now I think it's making that educated decision for your family. One thing I will say is, of all the members I've met, I would probably venture to say that 90% of them add points, right? Sure. And it's funny because we did a show a few months ago where we had asked what's the average point? And I think all of us from selling Disney Vacation Club thought the average points that a member owns is probably around 200.
Right.
So then we get all of these responses come back and we're like, okay, so it's 500.
I know. It's so funny.
And so I think knowing that, and if you're listening saying, oh no, we're just looking to buy our very first contract and buy 150 points, that's fine. But I would say really look at what your value is, right? Are you trying to pay a premium for some perks and benefits, or are you looking to just get the most value for your money on your Disney stay? And decide. Everyone's going to be different, but make that decision first. But then also keep in mind that there's a very, very strong chance that you're going to be adding points on later. And so perhaps that means buying resale first and maybe adding on points and getting a member discount, right? Because DVC members get better promotions when they buy directly from Disney if they're already members. Or perhaps that means starting out with directly from Disney, knowing that you're going to be adding on kind of that large sum of points. Maybe you're buying that 150 minimum, but knowing that you might need 400 or 500 each year. So that large amount might make more sense on the resale side.
I think it's important too to add that, because we get asked this all the time, is no, Disney can't go back and change the rules.
Yeah.
Meaning get in. Once you're in, like we talked about, Jodi's friend,
point. It's a great point.
who was grandfathered in to all the changes that happen. She sits on her 50 points and says, I don't care, whatever it is.
So what are you going to say she sat on?
So get in. That's the most important thing. Because it doesn't matter if you join and you close on a contract at Saratoga Springs and it's great and they offer up a crazy new batch of restrictions, it's not going to affect you because you will have been grandfathered in. So it's very important.
Great
I
point.
wonder how member services keeps track of this. Think about that.
know.
Because you've got the minimums that change throughout the years, and did they have this in 2011? I don't know how they keep track of it. And we all know their IT department's not great. So I'm sure there's not like a little,
Well, it was crazy because that 2019, right, when we had those 2 weeks. So what happened with that rule was if you bought during those 2 weeks, your contract was unrestricted. However, it had to be submitted for right of first refusal. With that, so then at that time, because right of first refusal was taking so long and we had such an influx of contracts going in, like thousands, that I remember right of first refusal had gone over longer than it ever had in history. Like I think it went to 52 days.
Oh, wow.
And so there's this anticipation of, did I pass right of first refusal? So there's all this stress built up. But then also these super long drawn out closings. We didn't own a title company at that time, right? So then closings took even longer because then you're dealing with a third party. They finally close. And then, so now we're talking like 3 months later, right? Their points finally load.
Then they call members.
And they call member services and they're like, hey, so to confirm, these are like unrestricted. And they got told no. And then they go to try to book and they were restricted. So there was
call
that.
Jodi, they call Marissa, they call me.
And we're like sending deeds over to Disney.
gosh.
That kink, I will say, only lasted for a few weeks. And then Disney realized that like, oh shoot, this is, but
how
at
did
the
they
time,
keep
I don't
track
think
of
member
that?
services realized.
Again,
I think Disney Direct never told member services that this, if they got submitted at this time, and a bunch of contracts we had to like call in and check on.
Communication error. So strange.
Disney not communicating to their
Human
staff
error.
as to what's going on.
But I think that's where it's good to kind of break it down, right? Like go into all of the ins and outs. And I think
Definitely.
the beauty of, as we go into these restrictions, whether it is if you're using points for cruises, right? Instead, take your points. You're going to save about 65% is the average that most of our guests save on points by swapping them versus using points directly from Disney. So it's a no-brainer. Like if you're going on a cruise, let us know. We will help you.
And that's the whole point with that. And to talk about it perfectly is before it was if you asked, hey, can I use my points on a cruise? The answer was no, right? You can't use it.
Right.
You just can't. Now it's, well, no, you can't do it through Disney, but you can do it through us and save like
Right.
70%.
And it's cheaper.
It's such a great
On a cruise, 70% of points on a 600 point per person cruise is a lot of points. So it's not only not being told no, I can't do it, is you can do it, and you could do it a heck of a lot better doing it through us.
Right.
And not only that, you can swap your points for Universal, Royal Caribbean, Virgin Cruises, beaches, sandals.
Don't ask member services if you can do that with your DVC points.
That'll be a no.
And so there's so much you can do through the world of DVC. But then also, even like when we talk about annual passes, right? Yes, the annual passes come and go for direct DVC members. But if you're not doing an annual pass or you're not a direct member, we offer the biggest discount on Walt Disney World tickets that you're going to find anywhere else online. So it's right on our website.
Right.
If you're going to Disney World, it's just a great add-on. So we try to, as much as we can, have those extras, right? There's perks from buying from the resale market to really kind of combat that, to give you the best options when making that decision for your family.
I think it's bottom line is it's the FOMO, and it's selling when you're at Disney, selling while you're in the pixie dust, we called it. I think it's important to make a rational decision and not an emotional decision, because it is a lot of money. You're not buying a purse or something, right? This is a big investment, and it should be based on rational numbers and not maybe emotion and FOMO and all of that stuff.
100%.
So yeah, we hope that you learned through the history of resale restrictions.
Hopefully you had your spreadsheets out and calculate, okay, this happened on this date and this on this date. But it's important for everyone to know that, that's the most important thing is right now, yes, there's been restrictions in the past, but if you buy with us now, you've got the 14 original DVC resorts. You've got the new Grand Floridian building. You've got the new Polynesian Tower coming. You're going to use that same website that every single member uses. It's just you pay a heck of a lot less for your points.
That's right. Oh, another thing is you guys might get this question too, but if you are already a direct member or later become a direct member and you buy resale, so you have a combination of those points, it doesn't negate you being a direct member. So if I'm a direct member and I add on any amount, I'm still a direct member.
They don't take your card away.
It doesn't erase one.
You're out of here.
Right.
You know, so it doesn't negate the
point.
benefits for the incidental benefits.
And we had talked about like having combined resale and direct points and using them for a cruise. But in your example, if you bought, let's say, Riviera and you also added on Saratoga, you just wouldn't be able to use your Saratoga resale points at Riviera.
Right.
But your Riviera points and Saratoga points could be used together at all the 14 other DVC resorts.
Great point, Jodi.
Excellent.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
This was great.
Thanks for stopping by.
Just when you
Always
think you
good to
knew
see you.
everything about Disney Vacation Club, we come up with a topic like this, and Jodi comes
Jodi
on
rolls in, and there you go.
It brought back a lot of restrictive memories.
Yes.
I was able to work that word in one more time.
Excited for you.
So thank you all for tuning in to episode number 35. This was fantastic. And of course, a reminder to let us know in the comments. Kerri came up with this one. Kerri?
Half of it. Well, let us know the best pool, DVC pool that you enjoy to go to the best out of all of the DVC resorts, Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Aulani, Hilton Head, Vero Beach, anywhere. The best pool that you enjoy to go to, and then we will give you a $100 gift card to use where? At the pool bar. And invite us, because we're super fun, right? That's Jodi and I think, anyway.
So let us know in the comments your favorite pool, and this was great.
And send us an email, info@worldofdvc.com.
All right. So with that, there's only one more long-standing tradition
I was just going to say, we've gotten away from our long-standing tradition.
to do before we hit the pool here.
Yes.
So everybody ready?
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in, and
We'll see you real soon.
Oh, let's go to the pool.
Oh my God.
It starts with a spark, alive in our hearts, a chance to build your legacy. To go to magical places with smiling faces and value and trust you can see.